job.
To fall in love again, but girl, believe me, I got you to the end. Through it all, yeah. Through it all, yeah, yeah. Through it all, you have my heart in this life. All we got is time, so let the music take us.
Oh, and they're coming on board.
To a place with love. Love is the only thing we know, and it's gonna be alright. Baby, we'll be alright. That's all we need.
220, 220.
Honey, only you want to get me through, yeah. Through it all, yeah, yeah. I know it ain't easy to fall in love again, but girl, believe me, I got you to the end. Through it all, yeah. Through it all, yeah, yeah. Ooh, there's something about you. Better go up public, gotta put you on low. Figure out how to start it. I ain't got nothing to lose. Swinging around like Tarzan, be the one that you trust. Wait, I'm feeling honored, running out here buzzing. Hop on and get busted, ain't gotta do nothing, turn nothing.
145.
Feelings beg your pardon, ain't cause you my target. Gotta pop out when I lock it, gotta give me all. That's all we need, and you.
Yeah, no.
Honey, only you want to get me through, yeah. Through it all, yeah, yeah. I know it ain't easy to fall in love again, but girl, believe me, I got you to the end. Through it all, yeah. Through it all, yeah, yeah. Girl, you got all my time.
No, I can't hear you.
If love was a crime, then arrest me in peace, yeah, yeah. You get my loving for free, yeah, yeah. Don't let no one tell you what you got, no, girl, I'm proud of you. Don't you ever change for nobody if they doubted you. You already won over my heart, girl, you got it. I'll be working overtime to show you that I want it, yeah, love. That's all we need, and you, honey, only you want to get me through, yeah, yeah. Through it all, yeah, yeah. I know it ain't easy to fall in love again, but girl, believe me, I got you to the end. Through it all, yeah. Through it all, yeah, yeah.
All right, you guys. All right. Welcome, welcome. If you guys are just now tuning in, yes, you have joined us here at Everyday People, the Utah Pacifica chapter, with your host and your girl, Cindy Sattini. And we're just going to get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Susi Feltch-Malohifo'ou in the house today. I'm so excited you're here.
Oh,
it's been a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been hitting you up for quite some time.
Yeah,
You're
we're
like,
trying to get this schedule for a while. Just now we're in sync.
yeah, but you're so busy though.
I mean, who's talking? I think you and your partner are the busiest couple I know.
I don't know. You were up at the hill yesterday.
I was.
Doing some work. I'm so proud of you. You know, thank you for being here today. Was it hard getting over here?
Not at all. Not at all.
You didn't even get any breakfast. We'll have breakfast after.
Yes.
Yeah, after we chat some more a little bit, right? Well, listen, if you guys are just tuning in again, remember you have entered into Everyday People, the Utah Pacifica chapter with Cindy Sattini. And again, like I said, Susi Feltch-Malohifo'ou with PacifikaChptr, Pacific Island Knowledge to Action Resources. You know what? Before we get into like PacifikaChptr and everything amazing about you and what you're doing in our community, why don't we just, this is sort of like a community podcast, so we're just going to go through some community events. We know we're coming into festival season, so there's a lot of things going on. Is PacifikaChptr having a lot of events coming up?
We do. This is the season we do lots of outreach. This is where we meet our community, share our resources, outside in beautiful weather, and yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I do have one community event that I wanted to announce. We have the Women's Executive Alliance and the Look Good, Feel Good event that's coming up next Saturday, February 3rd. Yeah, it's gonna be great. Just so you know, Everyday People was given 2 free tickets. And so we're going to ask a question at the end of the show. And if you guys have to pay attention to the whole entire show to find out what the question is. And if you have the right answer, you get the free 2 tickets.
Awesome.
Yeah. Are you gonna go?
Next, I may be out of town next Saturday.
Oh,
if I'm in town.
I think I'm gonna go look because I'm all about that. All the
sure.
good stuff. They're gonna have a bunch of experts there. They're gonna have an expert doing a workshop on beauty and hair, fashion and design, mental health. So if you guys have any questions, you can go onto our page because we do have their flyer posted on our page. Also go on to the Women's Executive Alliance page on Facebook and also Instagram and get more information on that. That's supposed to be a really fun event. You're gonna have a bunch of food and all that good stuff. Anyways, they're also partnering up with Creative Pacific Foundation. And I know that they're going to be there talking about a great event that they're going to have this summer. Did you hear about that?
I did, and I'm excited to see it. I did see that they're doing their call out for models.
Yes.
And I love that.
Yes. If you guys are interested in being a model for this fashion show and you missed the fashion show last year, this is the show because it's going to be huge. It's going to be bigger than the one last year. And last year was pretty eventful, right?
It was.
I know that PacifikaChptr, like I said, has a lot of events that are coming up, but we're going to get into that as we start talking more about your organization, which I'm super excited to talk about. But other than that, stay tuned. We're going to go into another quick break because we just want you guys to take this program, click like and share, because when we come back, we're going to get to know Susie just a little bit more. All right, don't go too far. We'll be right back.
This girl, she walked in like she knew about that life. Gotta give it to her proper, about to show her a good night. Said, I'm the one going around getting it in for sure. Said you think you've been playing me, but girl, you need to know. Girl, you just got the time and one-on-one affair to spread around the globe. If you want a chicken, get see him falling on the floor. So yeah, I'll let you get it like a starter on the coach. You think you have it, I'm a guy, it's something you should know. Girl, don't you roll with me, you don't know how to play. Said you're picking up the paddle, but you just don't know the game. Better believe me when I'm telling you. Yeah, said you ain't about that life unless you're the ride or die type. I don't mind if I'm riding with you. Girl, don't you roll. Better open up your eyes. Don't think you know what I mean when I say right. Yeah, this is me. This is what I'm all about. Get ready, we gon' run and more. Yeah, you think you really got it, but you ain't even started with this gas and all. So strap up your seatbelt, rolling out the door. Think you're passing the tea, well, that's ain't even over. I'm practically well grounded in the zone. You think you have me down, but there's something you should know. Girl, don't you roll with me, you don't know how to play. Said you're picking up the paddle, but you just don't know the game. Better believe me when I'm telling you. Yeah, said you ain't about that life unless you're the ride or die type. I don't mind if I'm riding with you. Girl, don't you roll with me, you don't know how to play. Said you're picking up the paddle, but you just don't know the game. Better believe me when I'm telling you. Yeah, said you ain't about that life unless you're the ride or die type. I don't mind if I'm riding with you.
Yes. All right, you guys, just so you know, that was Thomas Satini with
Yeah.
About That Life. I hear he's getting hooked up with you guys.
Yeah, I didn't even know. They just said, actually they said it was Margarita's son, and I was like, I didn't even already have a son
Well,
named
yeah,
Thomas.
she treated him as her own, for
Yeah.
sure. Well, that was Thomas Satini About That Life. I think that song's on every platform. Go check it out. But Susie, gosh, you're here.
Yes.
I'm super excited. If you guys are just tuning in and you missed the first part of the show, yes, thank you for joining Everyday People, the Utah Pacifica chapter, with your girl, Cindy Satini, and our special host, our guest host, Susi Feltch-Malohifo'ou. Susie, I called you Susi
Yes.
the other day. Is it Susie?
It's Susi.
Susie, is it really?
My name is Susi.
Okay, because
but,
I met your...
You know, the American.
Hey, I met Susan Nixon. Is that who you were named after?
I'm named
Shout out
after
to
her.
Susan Nixon if she's checking in.
Yes.
You're...
My biological mother in Tonga babysat her. And before I was born.
And she's Balangi.
And she's Balani.
That's kind of cool.
Her parents worked at Leahone, and she babysat her kind of as her nanny. And then she got pregnant with me. And then my dad's family named me Saipalesi. And my
Wait,
mom,
is that your legal name?
No.
Saipalesi.
So when she was driving to go in Tonga to do it, and I don't know, my mom probably got mad at my dad for something and said, no, I'm going to put Susi, named after the little girl I babysat. And so then Saipalesi became my middle name.
You know what's crazy that you said that, because, you know, my name was supposed to be Tuifua.
Oh.
And then my mom got mad. And was like, nope.
Our moms must be related.
No, seriously. And then I asked her, I go, hey, why did you name me? She's just like, oh, it's my favorite American name.
So my Bloomfield side of the family in Tonga still call me Saipalesi.
Are you serious?
Which means cypress. But then through my adoption, when they changed my name, my parents said to me, do you want to keep Saipalesi as your middle name? And I kept calling myself Sarsaparilla because I couldn't say Saipalesi. And so my mom and dad were like, no, Susie, your middle name is Saipalesi, not Sarsaparilla.
Well, it sounds like we're going to have to go get a sarsaparilla after this, because that sounds really good. Anyways, Tonga. You just said you were born in Tonga?
Yeah, I was born in Tonga. Yes, I was.
Okay, just so you guys know. I was talking to Susie earlier, and I was like, yeah, you know, she's like, yeah, you know, people think I was sort of Fia Palangi, and I was like, yeah, because you're half Palangi. She's like, no, I'm full Tongan.
No, I'm 100% full Tongan.
100% full Tongan, you guys. That's pretty amazing.
My dad is there, but Bloomfield from Fatai, and my mom is Talita Vaitai from Taonga, Vava'u. So
that's kind of cool. How long did you live in Tonga?
So,
you mentioned that you were adopted.
So, at 3 years old, I was adopted to my Palangi parents who worked for the LDS Church in Tonga. They managed the plantation, the church's plantation there. And my biological grandfather, Elisa Vaitai, was the foreman. So he did all the hiring of the staff and stuff. So we lived on this plantation. It was called Niamate. And it was...
Do you remember all this?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I have pictures of it. So at 3 years old, I moved from basically the workers' quarters to the main house, to my Palangi parents' house. And then at 5 years old, my dad took a position with the church in New Zealand. And he managed the churches.
Your adopted father?
Yeah, my adopted father. And then he took a position there. He managed the church's sheep and dairy farm.
I know that's a lot of people think. I've heard that people outside of our community will look at us and say we give away our babies.
Yeah.
And we just hand off everything. And I don't think that's really, it's not as easy as that sounds. Can you,
I think it's out of love, right?
Okay.
And that's what I always tell people. In, I think, American time context, it is kind of throwaway.
Yeah.
But in our culture, it's out of love. And, you know, I didn't know that. It's one of those things that, you know, when you're raised with an idea and then you get to be an adult, I'm like, oh, that's not what I thought. So my dad always said, you know, they found a coconut princess underneath a coconut tree, and she was so cute we wanted to bring her home. And they'd always tell me, you know, your brothers and sisters, we had no choice. God just gave us. You, we picked. Because you were so cute.
I like that.
Right? And so grew up thinking I'm special.
Right.
And I tell my brothers and sisters, they had no choice. What mom had was you. right? No boy, no girl, but see, they liked me.
Do you have a relationship with your biological family
I do.
still? And
yeah.
your parents, your biological parents?
My
still?
dad, my biological,
Yes.
both are passed away.
Okay.
But my adopted dad, it lives in Arizona. Yeah. So I grew up in Vernal, Utah.
Oh, Vernal?
Yes.
You know what? That's a beautiful drive out there.
It is.
Oh my gosh, I love Vernal, Utah. Growing up in that sense, and New Zealand, right? How long were you there? When did you
So we
move
were
to
there
the
till
States?
I was, I think we were there 5 years. And then my family traveled the world for a year.
How old were you at this point?
10.
10?
Yeah, 10, 11. And then we traveled around the world for a year before we moved
Did
back.
you recognize at that time that my parents were from Hawaii?
No, actually, I didn't. I mean, my brothers and sisters used to say things to me, but my oldest sister has strawberry blonde hair, and my next sister has brown hair, and I had black hair.
Yeah.
So we had like multiple, we all looked very different. But I'm the favorite in the family, honestly. My brothers and sisters know that. There's 10 years between
Put it in the comments. Let's see.
There's 10 years between me and my brother.
Wow.
So I was like a second family.
Yeah.
And I think my dad's education, he was a lawyer, and his minor was in agriculture. And he decided he wanted to take his family. My mom said that he came home in Vernal and said, okay, I accepted this job, and we're going right here. And she's like, move your finger, there's like some dust. Where are we going? And he said, right here. She's like, it was like a pin. And he's
Wow.
like, right, you're taking all of us.
Wait, how long did you live in Vernal?
I
traveled to Vernal a lot.
So we came back, I was like 13. And then I left, I graduated college or high school in 17. So I had 4 or 5 years.
Were there any polys out there?
No.
Oh.
I was the only, in my yearbook, it says I'm the only person of color.
Are you serious? Someone said, oh, look at his POCs. And I was like, what's POCs? She said people of color.
Yeah.
Well, anyways.
Yeah, so, because I had not been around Polynesians, I played sports, and a girl transferred, she moved from Salt Lake. And my name is Susi, and the first S had fallen off the back of my t-shirt. So we're at basketball practice, and this Palangi girl says to me, Susi, that is hilarious. And I said, what's hilarious? She said, that's a swear word in your language. I said, what? I had no idea.
Wow.
And she just was like, yeah.
Wait, was this girl calling?
Yes.
Oh. How did she know?
Because she was raised here in Salt Lake, and she'd moved to Vernal.
Wow.
And she used to just crack up
So we're
laughing.
teaching the people in the other communities, guys.
And I was so clueless. I went home and said, hey, I learned a Tongan word today. My mom,
But all this time you knew you were Tongan. You were
Yeah.
but at the same time you were just being raised by these
right.
Palangi
And when
parents.
we moved to Vernal, my mom did the whole, this is where Susie's from, and we had a day where she went to all my classes and taught everybody, did slides.
Like a show and tell?
Show and
Wow.
tell. And then when I became a citizen, we had a Susi Feltch Day at school to celebrate my
Wow.
naturalization.
Wow.
Because I became a citizen.
Okay, so tell me, Vernal. If you haven't been to Vernal, you just need to go. No wonder.
Dinosaur Land.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, there's a store out there. What is it called? 7-Eleven? Is it 7-Eleven out there? But it's not 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
It's just a restaurant. Anyways, gosh, Vernal. And then when did you, maybe get introduced to the Polynesian community?
Well, so
these are my people.
So I met my biological mother. I was in 4th or 5th grade. I spent the summer with her in San Mateo.
Were you in contact with her all this time?
Well, she would send me Christmas cards and stuff because I was
nice.
adopted outside of the country.
Oh.
I had that relationship with her,
Oh,
so she could call. My biological father would call, and tell my parents, "Thank you for raising Susie." My mom would say, "I don't think he understands you're our child, but okay, yeah, thank you." He would thank them for taking care of me.
Yeah.
So I spent a summer with her. We went to Hawaii, and then
Wow. How is it being raised by now that you're where you're at in our community and really in it, and just looking back, how was it growing up? Do you feel like you were sort of sheltered in the Palangi community?
Very much.
And was it sort of like a culture shock when you finally came back?
Yeah, when I went to college, I had a really hard time figuring out my identity. where did I fit in, right? Because I didn't fit in with the kids I was going to college with, or even
Where did you go to
people
college?
in San Francisco.
Oh.
Went to Pacifica, but I had lived with my cousins in San Mateo, and I was so different, and my lifestyle had been very different. I had a really hard time adjusting.
What do you mean, like were you just, again, it was probably just sheltered, right? You were...
It was sheltered. I mean, my dad was a judge. My grandfather was one of the founding fathers of Bruno.
So you really had to mind your P's and Q's.
I always say I'm a privilege of secondhand privilege. And so I'd never seen a lot of the things, and it wasn't part of my understanding when I went to San Francisco. So I was like, wow, these people look like me, but we don't have. I was listening to rock music. I had never heard of Bob Marley, right? I'm like, come on, AC/DC, Back is Black.
Is that where that, when we talked earlier, where people were looking at you like you're Feltch-Malohifo'ou, you're not listening to our music, you're not listening.
I didn't fit in,
And you didn't know the language, probably.
I don't know the language, and so there were a lot of things, but I was really drawn. I mean, I was really drawn to, wow, these are people that look like me. I mean, I want to be part of this. But I got jumped many times. I learned to fist fight really well. There was a lot of misunderstanding of who I was, and
was it because you were just?
I think because I spoke English without an accent. I think, and
were you this sort of strong?
I mean, I don't know that I was. I was a follower in high school.
Oh, okay.
I was very timid. I didn't really know where I fit, even in the white world. I grew up with my parents' friends' children. They were all very privileged as well too, and I just kind of went along with the crowd. And when I went to California, I was like, wow, I love this. And my parents, though, I'd already been accepted to BYU Hawaii. My dad and I had already flown out, gotten my apartment. And then my biological mother said, why don't you come to San Francisco and spend some time before you go to college? I drove my car from Vernal, Utah, didn't tell my parents, parked it in the parking lot and took a flight, called home and said, Dad, I'm not coming home for dinner tonight. And he said, well, why aren't you? And I said, because I'm in California. And he said, well, what are you doing there? And I said,
how old were you again, sorry?
I was 17.
Wow, okay.
So I said, I decided to come and visit Toledo. And he said, okay, fine. But remember, you got to go to school. We're ready. So when school came around time, I didn't want to go. So I called and said, we went through, there were a lot of
What was it that kept you there? That kept you drawn to?
It was like, I was so drawn to the culture and figuring out a group of people that looked like me and that said I was their family. My biological mother was there. I didn't really know her.
Was she doing a lot of culture, traditional stuff? Did she speak the language? Any of that?
She only spoke Tongan.
Oh,
she didn't speak English. She did live in there, and she only had me. I'm the only child she ever had, and so there was a draw for her to keep me there. So she never forced me to do anything. But there, I started dating when I was 16. Then I went there.
She's like, dating?
Oh yeah.
What? No, you date at 30.
Oh yeah, I remember a guy came to pick me up. Him and his friends were going to the basketball game, and she was coming down the sidewalk.
No.
And she was like, "Where are you going?" I said, "With my friends on a date." No, you're not.
Yeah.
And then they were all Tongan, right? And they were she's telling them in Tongan something,
cussing them out.
And he's saying, "Susie, I think we'll just go." I'm like, "No, I'm going with you. We're going on a date." And she just was like. It was very hard for her to...
I'm sure because as a Tongan mother, you're like, you ain't talking to me like that.
Well, right. And then I remember, she'd tell me, to go to the laundromat to go do laundry with her. I said, for what? Laundromat? What's a laundromat? And number two...
And you talked to her like that.
Yeah, that's how I talked to her. And I was like, and why would I
crazy.
go with you? My mom never had me... She did laundry? I don't understand this. You go do your mom stuff. And I'm not helping you. Right? And I think I was not the daughter that she had hoped for me to be. And we had a very rough
I guess I'm just my whole facial because, as a Polynesian or as a Tongan mother, you're just kind of like, what?
Right.
You talked to me, you looked at me that way, or,
But when I would get jumped, if something happened, she was the first to defend me. she would go to the people's house with me and like say,
Did you just start getting into fights when you like started like hanging out with the Polynesian kids?
well, you know, like I've always, because I played sports, I've always had friends that were boys.
Oh, okay.
Right?
So you're just sort of roughed up.
And I was kind of a tomboy. You know, even in my work, all my friends were boys, and at some point in my life, I thought I was gay. I tried that lifestyle once. You know, I was trying to find myself,
Yeah.
and I thought, well, maybe I am gay. Let me try this. And then
you're just like, no.
yeah,
No.
and that didn't work for
And
me
then,
either.
so fast forward, you know, speaking of relationships, you end up with me. I thought he was going to come.
Oh no, he's home. Yeah, Cindy's my fourth Tongan husband.
Okay, can you just tell us who your husband is?
Oh,
so
my
that the
husband's
community
name
knows?
is Cindy Poteki goes by, but his last name is Malohifo'ou, and his family's lived here for, I think, since the 70s.
Okay, and is he the co-founder as well, right?
Yeah, so he co-founded it, and actually he started it. His whole idea, he started Kava Talks. We went to a violence prevention conference in San Francisco, and he came into our hotel room and said, I'm going to start going to the Kava clubs and talking to them about how do we define violence. I was looking at him like, huh? What are you going to do?
He's like, we're going to go to the Kava clubs and I want you to come and Toa.
No, he would not. Hell no.
Were you like, no?
No, I just was like, I'm very intrigued here. Why? And he said to me, Susie, you women have been working on domestic violence, and I know you've been doing this for a long time, but until you men get involved, you women will never solve domestic violence.
Mm.
And he said, we have to hold ourselves accountable, and we have to hold other men accountable. And until men get involved in this, you women can do this for the rest of your lives. Because we're the abusers. We're the majority of the abusers. And I just
That's kind of cool that he recognized
He
that.
recognized this, and I was
Yeah.
looking at him. You know, my husband owned a trucking company. He's like beer drinking, smoking kind of guy.
Yeah.
Very rough around the edges.
Yeah.
And his degree is he's a gunsmith.
Wow.
He has a degree in making guns.
Wow.
And so he said to me, I just want to have the same conversation with men in our community of is violence, like, first of all, let's define what violence is in America, because that's very different than violence in the islands. And he said, we need to do that first.
Yeah.
And then the second thing we need to say, is it a problem in our community?
Mm.
And if the men say, yes, it's a problem, he said, then we need to have dialogue. We need to talk about it.
Yeah.
So this was the start, and I said to him, now, what you're asking me to do is I can be the best secretary. I can't go to the Kava Club with you. I can't speak Tongan. I mean, this is all
How
on
is this
you.
all going to work?
And I said, I don't start something with people and then it goes away.
Mm-hmm.
You make a good decision, sound decision on this, and I'll 100% support you on this idea. But understand, I can't do anything much besides be a secretary,
Yeah.
write grants.
Do you kind of
organize.
feel like you were just like, you just mentioned I didn't know how to speak Tongan.
Yeah.
Did you understand Tongan?
Yeah.
But you were like, how do I, fit on all of this? And what I'd like to do, I do want to talk about Kava Talks and how that was sort of all created. I want to touch on one thing before, because I want to go into a break,
Yeah.
after we talk about sort of just your life in a nutshell, and then we'll go into PacifikaChptr and Kava Talks. You did talk about abuse.
Yeah.
And, Missy mentioning that you had talked about it, and it was something that you dealt with, pretty much the beginning of your life, right? Maybe?
Right, when I got married, my first marriage,
Okay.
Because the home that I came from, I never had to get mad, or my parents, because my dad's a judge, he didn't believe in hitting.
Right.
So I'd never been spanked my whole life. And never been spanked.
Yeah.
So I got married to my first husband, and he started beating me before I got married. And, this idea of I can change him, if I just do what he wants, he'll love me more, and he'll see if I help him progress and he's successful, he'll see how worthy I am and how valuable, and he won't hit me anymore. But that didn't happen. And so,
How long did that last?
A couple years. I got out. I think the Lord works in mysterious ways. He had an affair. And I think Heavenly Father knew that was the one boundary
That you were not.
that I was not going to put up. You can hit me all you want,
Yeah.
and I will, put up with that.
Yeah.
But that was, so he ended up having an affair with one of my best friends that I'd moved into my house.
Oh, jeez.
and they had an affair, and I beat her up, kicked her out of my house, and then he tried to commit suicide, and my parents paid for him to go to one of these fancy rehab places.
Tell me when you were going through all of this, what was the breaking point that you were like, I really need to get out of this? Only because if we have viewers that are going through this, you know, and actually in the middle of it, or maybe they're starting to see signs of something like that. You know, what was your breaking point? And you were like, this is toxic. I see all these red flags. How do I get out of this?
Well, I never saw the red flags. And I'm going to say, too, if anybody is listening, the abuse doesn't start with a black eye. The abuse starts with the name calling, with the degrading you. Those are the things that...
And this is just not for women.
No, yeah.
We're talking men
Yes.
are abused, too.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And I would say in our community, we have a lot of alpha women.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I would say that our culture has more so than other cultures. That there are men that are abused in our community, and yeah, that's a whole nother. I think we could do a whole series on that subject.
We might have to.
Yeah, because it's important. But I didn't see the red flags. I mean, my upbringing, I think, in religious layer was, I need to be a better wife. I need to cook better. I need to do what he says. I need to follow what he says. But the more I did that, and it was like ridiculous things he would say to me. Like,
what are signs of abuse besides physical?
Well, I think the degrading.
Okay.
And they putting you down, calling you names, that nothing you can do is right. Whenever you start feeling like you're walking on eggshells, that is a big indicator. Right? That something's not right.
Right.
If you're being controlled, if you're getting cut off from your friends, getting cut off from your family, and that you can't, I mean, that is a big sign, because you're about to be in a situation where you'll have nobody around you to support you, because he's supposed to be that one person to lean on, right? He's the smartest. He knows what's right for you. Just do what he says, and everything would be fine. Until you can start to heal and realize that it's his own issues, right? Yeah. All of those things that he's trying to put on you are really his own issues, and that he has some healing to do. And
what was your can I say escape route?
Well, it really helped because he went to rehab.
Okay.
The last day of graduation, and the therapist has said, don't divorce him, don't leave him, support him through this. The last day of therapy, they had me go into a therapy room, and his girlfriend, my best friend, and him were sitting there. And they say, we've come up with a solution and we'd like to talk to you about it. I said, okay, what's the solution? She said, you know I love you, Susie. Like, we grew up, we're like sisters. I said, yes. And she said, why don't we just both be married to him? And we can just continue our lives like this. We can both have babies to him. And he says, the reason I tried to commit suicide is that I love two women. And I want both of you, and I need both of you. And I think this is a good solution. I looked at them like, let me make this very easy for you both. The line was drawn very easily for me, was like, I don't need a man bad enough to share. Good luck.
Wow.
And so that's why I said I think Heavenly Father had a hand in this to put me in this situation, because I don't know if all of that would have happened. So I was like, I'll make this very easy for both of you. I'm out. Wow. Good luck.
And so that was your way out.
That was my way out.
Wow.
So then I went to Texas to stay with my biological mother, who lived there. She had migrated to America, and I needed a break. I needed to get out of Utah. And
then started the work for
that I had to start on my own personal healing. I had started here when he went into this rehab. I started attending Al-Anon. I didn't know what that was. But then I was listening to other women that were saying the same thing, and I remember this one time a lady said, the facilitator said, so if your husband or your partner comes home and it's snowing, and he is outside in the car and he's passed out, what would you do? Almost every woman there we would like, oh, go outside, get them in the house, take off their shoes and socks, get them in bed.
You were like,
I was like, that was me, right?
I
was that kind of at that time.
Okay.
And then call his job and say like, he's sick today.
Yeah.
So I was enabling, and I started seeing that all of these other women were doing that. And she said, so what's wrong if you just leave him there and he wakes up and he's cold? I was like, huh? I'm not a good wife if I do that.
No.
I said, well, maybe he wouldn't stay outside in the car and pass out and get cold. Right? And I just was like, wow, what if I didn't do this? And he got cold, and he decided that he was cold and brought himself in.
Yeah.
Why do I feel the need to do all of that? Drag him in the house, take off his clothes and
when
shoes.
he just had a night out of fun.
And yet there were so many women in that room that were like telling their stories of how they did this. And then when she said, well, what's so wrong if you just left him there and he got cold and woke up on his own and said, maybe I shouldn't act this way.
Oh.
And it just was like, Donna Briggs was like, what was I afraid of? Why don't I choose that?
Yeah.
I'd never thought about that.
Yeah.
Because that religious layer again says, good wives, make sure their spouses in the house, warm, have food. And here she was bringing this perspective of like, his deal, let him deal with it.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Do that. Right.
It totally makes sense. PacifikaChptr, do they have a program for domestic violence?
So we started with our men's group of Kava Talks. And then what happened was all the calls we got were women.
Oh.
And then I was like, this wasn't supposed to be a women's thing. This was supposed to be a men's group. So I said to Cindy, what do we do? You start a group now. I said, huh? This was not what this was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And he said, Susie, if women are calling, you got to help them.
Yeah. Let's talk about PacifikaChptr and all these great programs that your organization has for our community here shortly. But we're going to go into a break real quick because we just talked about a lot. I think we could talk all day. We're going to talk a lot after this. But we're going to go into a next break just so that we can take a breather. And I'm sure you guys want to go grab something real quick, but don't go too far. We will be right back with Susi Feltch-Malohifo'ou. Susi Feltch-Malohifo'ou with Pacific Island Knowledge to Action Resources, PacifikaChptr. Wow. So I was going to go. So you're like talking here like this. Yeah, you know. What happened? He hasn't told you, like, don't talk to terrible. Lava, no underwear on.
Well, that usually means you have a lot of lava on. Yeah.
Mine and yours. All right, welcome back, welcome back. If you're just tuning in and you're like, who are these Polynesian women on the TV or on the show? You're tuning in to Everyday People, the Utah Pacifica chapter with your girl Cindy Sattini and our special guest Susi Feltch-Malohifo'ou with PacifikaChptr, Pacific Island Knowledge to Action Resources. Gosh, a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm 60. I'm old. I've made lots and lots of mistakes in my life.
I know.
And I don't call them mistakes. Those were learning challenges.
Yeah. We were just talking about, I asked her, I go, so tell me how it all ended with your biological mother as far as, the way that you approached her and that communication part, because myself as a Tongan mother, I really am with my children. I've become more open now, and we have better communication and conversations and whatnot. But before it was always like, no, I know better. You listen to me, and you shouldn't have an opinion, right? Did you finally change that with your mother, or?
It was, we got used to each other. Because I didn't understand the culture, right? That was part of my issue is that I was raised in a white family who instilled being able to have your voice and to talk and to, even if my parents didn't agree with they were like, tell us why you think that. I used to say things like, I have free agency, I learned, so when I am 21, I'm going to drink, smoke, and do drugs. Right?
I knew it was all of us.
Right? And they would say, oh, we wouldn't suggest that, but if that's what you choose, we love you, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, because you've never done drugs and stuff. And so, how do you tell me that drinking and drugs is bad for you?
Makes sense.
If you haven't tried it yourself. So that's kind of the environment that I was raised in. So when I met my biological mother and started having relations with her, what I understood was I couldn't have a conversation with her. She would say something, and then when I would have a conversation, she'd say, stop talking back. And I'd say, no, I'm not talahuing you. I'm having a conversation. You talk, I talk. You talk, I talk. She would say, I don't like the way those white people raised you.
Ooh.
And that would go in a whole different range, right, of thoughts. But I would always say to her, hey, God gave us a mouth and a brain that works so that we can talk to each other.
Did she eventually accept that about you?
She did.
And start having conversations?
She did, but it was still very difficult. She didn't really speak English.
Oh.
One day she used the F word when she was angry, and my cousin said to her, Auntie, where did you learn that word from? She said, Jerry Springer. I said, lady, stop watching Jerry Springer.
And that is hard because you can't, if you speak a second language and you're trying to, get your point across, however that looks like, it's hard.
It is very hard.
Especially for the receiver, because you're just like, are you serious? Or are you?
So her husband ended up having prostate cancer. So I took him to the doctor and came home and she said, where's the cancer in Tongan? And I'm like, what's the word for prostate? And then I was drawing a picture, and then she said the word for where you have a baby. Oh, yeah. He said, I'm not a woman. And I said, okay, let's just call it stomach. Let's just agree right there, because there are some words that don't translate, right? And so in the conversations that we would have, I recognized that it wasn't the relevancy of what I was saying. She wasn't understanding the way that I was trying to express to her. And at first it was like, she's dumb. Why do I even talk to her? Right? But then she was very quick to get angry with me and say very mean things, which I was not used to.
And how did you change that, though?
She would say really mean things to me, and then I would say really mean things back to her, and then we would not talk for years. Then we would try to engage again, and it would go through this thing. Again, I would argue, my first cousins would be like, I'll give you $20.
Was it always like that until, the end?
And she started recognizing that she was embarrassed, I had my own place. She was like, good Tongan girls don't
stay home until you're 30.
Yes.
Till a man comes to the door and
she said, you have too many friends, you should just stay home and sleep and eat. I said, wow, there's so many things to do in this world. And so I moved out. She was embarrassed because I got my own place.
That's crazy.
Right? And
because, that's sort of how I was brought up. You know, if you move out of the house and you're not,
She was embarrassed.
Uh,
She was embarrassed because I was moving out of the house.
but now it's a thing. It's like, hey, you're responsible. You're an adult. You're
So
adulting.
as she evolved with her friends, then her friends started saying, look at Susie. She has her own house. She has her own car. She has her own business. I wish my daughter would be like that.
Wow.
Right?
And then she became proud.
Then she became proud because...
That's my thought.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember a family in her ward. You know, I was a drinker. I was a big partier.
Mm-hmm.
And the dad in Family Home Evening told his daughters, why don't you guys be like Susie? And the daughters were like,
And they're like,
hey, drinks!
Bring
And
the
you know, she
drinks.
goes to the bar and like all these things that they were raised. And they would tell me, our dad says we should be like you. And I said, I don't think he means that part. So, no, our dad said in Family Home Evening, look at Susie. She has her own business. She lives on her own. She takes care of herself. But yeah, Dad, but she's in the bar every weekend. We hear. And the dad, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. And so I think as her friends and society evolved, she became proud. I think I had embarrassed her because I was independent, and that was not looked on as a good trait yet.
Well, there's a lot of things that we're going to skip over, okay? Because we're going to go right into, of course, you met Simi, you guys started talking about Kava Talks.
Yeah.
And, you know, I thought it was pretty cool that he recognized, like, you know, us men need help,
Yeah.
you know, in that. And then somehow you started first.
Yeah, well, he, because women started calling. So when we started, every call we called were about women with sexual assault, with incest. And I said to Simi, what? I thought we were doing domestic violence here.
How long ago was this?
We started 9 years ago. Wow. And every call we got was women with incest issues.
Like, you know, by a brother, uncle.
Yes, somebody within their family.
Something.
And I said to Simi, what do you want to do? This is your program, I'm supporting you. And he said, you need to do a support group too. I said, well, we're talking about domestic violence and they're talking about incest with sexual assault. Are you telling me now we're going to do? He said, that's what we're going to do now. And I said, he said, I'll do the men with sexual assault. I was like, oh my gosh. So let me back up. When he came back from San Francisco from that conference, he got 8 Tongan men certified. They were the first group of men to be state certified as advocates, domestic violence advocates.
Wow.
And there were 8 of them.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so they all came back, got certified. Wow. So then he said, we need to be certified.
What does it take to be certified?
40 hours with a training.
Okay.
And so we would do it every week. They finally, when they graduated, Sim Gill, who's our district attorney, he was so excited. He wanted to give everybody a certificate, and we had a little graduation ceremony at the county building.
Were these men that just wanted to learn more about it, or were they having issues?
So they were all like Simi's crew, so they were all rough. Right,
and they were having issues. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, and some were like one day I'll never forget,
guys.
In the training, there were all negative things on the board, and one of the guys, he said, "Oh, I do all those things to my wife," and the instructor was looking at me like, "What?" And I said to the instructor with him there, I said, sometimes you don't even recognize that those things are bad.
Yeah.
And that's exactly
what was one of the red flags?
Yell, throw things, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, proudly, I do all those things, thinking that this was a good thing. By the end of that class,
he failed.
And he's like, he understood. And they were, this was a tough thing for our men to go through because it was changing everything that they knew about. Half of them were raised in homes where there was domestic violence.
Yeah.
Definitely they had seen it, and they were taught, it's none of your business. Turn the other way. It's none of your business. Don't get involved. Just keep walking. And don't ever address it. Right? And so a lot of them were learning there for the first time to be able to speak about it. There was a lot of, don't ever tell my siblings that I said this, but when my dad gets mad, he used to throw things. Because remember, we always want to show the best light of our parents.
Yeah.
We never want to say anything negative. But the truth is, for those that are parents, we are going to make mistakes. There is no handbook. And our kids are going to have trauma of what we've done. And so the idea that we wanted, that I keyed in on that training when I sat with them, with the men, was our parents are not perfect, but they did the best they could with what they were dealing with.
Accept it and you go, okay,
Yeah.
What can we do different?
And I think for us to be able to acknowledge that our parents aren't perfect, right? And so I think so many Polynesians want to say our parents were perfect, the way they did things was perfect. Not true, right? And that it's okay. It doesn't mean you love your parents any less. And I think the men had to learn that in then having that safe place for them to talk about. And you know, there were some that were abusers that didn't know they were abusers, right?
Yeah.
Because they didn't recognize it. Maybe they weren't to the point where they were hitting.
Like with Sandy when he was like, yeah, I kicked the dog.
Yeah.
I yell at, my wife or what. Yeah.
Right. And so one of the concepts that they really thought was really cool and they didn't understand was if you are doing something and somebody else is seeing, it's how they feel. They're the judge whether it's domestic violence. So if you're outside in the back of your own house and you're breaking your own shovel and you're throwing things around and your neighbor looks out their window and it scares them, that's domestic violence. That is not for us to choose. It's for the person that's around, your children, the people that are around you, that chooses whether it's domestic violence or not. And so it was a concept that they were like, oh, we want to go teach this in the coffee circles. Like, that idea.
You started about 9 years ago, 8 guys, right?
Yeah.
How long? I mean, how big is it now?
It's a drop-in group. Sometimes we'll have over 10, 15. Sometimes we'll only have 3.
Because some will probably just come and they're like, okay, I've learned something. Then they move out to the world and do what they need to do.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
And it's like that with the women's. They're drop-in groups. You will find that when people need us, they know where to come. And everything is going well, we won't see it. And that's okay, right? I know one night when we used to do Kava Talks in person, we had a Polynesian man that we'd never seen him before. He busted open the door. He said, I need some help. But he knew where we were. He knew where to come. And to me, I was like, that's very valuable that men know where to come. And that he was having some problems. And that was the one place he knew that he could come to get help and be able to share his story. It was something within his family. He said he put all of his guns, had somebody come and get all of his guns because he didn't want to do something. At least he was smart enough to do that.
Yeah.
And then he came and just was like, wanted to unload and dump everything. But at least he knew where to come.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think your outreach is crazy.
I'm not hearing anything, but your pack is dead. You got to pull your pack out of your lap. It's killing the sound.
How is that? Is that better?
Yep, now I can hear you.
Okay. What did we miss? I'm sorry. We had a lot of good stuff.
No, everything's happened. It was just the last 10 seconds. So
Right,
just
good.
keep the pack out.
Sorry, guys. Wow. I noticed the outreach that you guys have been doing. I've been following PacifikaChptr probably for the last couple of years on social media. A ton of outreach work that you guys do all week long. You have an event coming up here pretty soon. What is it? Does it have anything to do with domestic violence or anything?
Our next domestic violence will be the end of April.
Oh, wow.
Our men will be doing Heels to Heal. But we have group every week
Okay.
on Wednesday nights for women. And on every Thursday are men.
Let's talk about your groups real quick. Again, we do look to showcase our Polynesian artists out in our community. So we're just kind of play songs throughout the podcast. But let's talk about the groups real quick for domestic violence. Where are they held at and how often? We were just getting
So
to
we
that.
started out with domestic violence and then we stripped over what we recognize and why we just call them now women's empowerment groups and Kava Talks is that whatever issue it is you're going through, it's the same process of healing, right?
Yeah.
And so we wanted to expand it because people were like, oh, but I got this issue, can I still come? And so we started to say, it's not just about domestic violence, but you can come there and get resources. So the women's group meets on Wednesday nights, 6 p.m. online and in person at our office.
Online?
Yep.
Oh, good.
8 to
Facilitate
South.
that
It's
Sorry.
either myself or Jackie Malohifo'ou. We switch off. I love support groups. I've been a peer support in 3 states, being it's life experience as a peer support through NAMI and certified in 3 states to do it. And I enjoy it. I personally did better when I was healing through support groups. Letting me share my stories and having people tell me instead of a therapist, why did you do that?
Yeah.
You know? And I remember one time in my support group, I had an episode at McDonald's and I had thrown, you know how they line up all the things? I had gotten mad and like went like this and all the food fell and they called the police on me. So I go to my support group that week and they were like, has anybody been in jail? Has anybody? And I said, well, I almost went. Well, why, Susie? And I said, and one lady said, well, why don't you just stop and think? I said, whose brain stops and thinks? Up until that time in my life, I didn't know that you really could control your brain between thought and action.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
I didn't even know that.
I didn't know that until actually recently as I started practicing
Right.
that and my healing.
And the lady was like saying, well, just take a breather. And like, I was like, I didn't know you could do that. My whole life, whatever I thought is what I did.
Yeah.
And so I recognize that most of the things that have helped me through my healing came from group support.
Yeah.
Not from therapy. I mean, I love therapy too, and I believe in it. But I think it's the combination of the both.
Yeah.
Of having peers, listening to them, and you can learn so much from your peers and what they've gone through, and being able to reflect on your own life and your situation. And then getting like somebody in your peer group that says, you're dumb, versus a therapist telling you you're dumb, right?
Yeah.
You can take that from somebody that you built a relationship, understand their struggles. And so why support groups are so important. Our men are online. They're going to probably go to in-person again, but right now they're online every Thursday night.
Okay.
There. And both of them, one of the benefits of having group is because we aren't good communicators. And because we haven't been taught communication skills in our homes, it doesn't be the same translation when it comes into your business life. It is a hindrance. It translates like that in college, in your life. And so one of the benefits of our support groups is that people find their voice.
Yeah.
People are able to learn how to articulate the way they feel, because we're really quick when we're angry to go to the fist. Very quick to do that. And we're better than that, honestly. I feel like everyone.
Why do you think that is? It just because of the way that we were raised, and it's something that.
Because we weren't taught how to articulate, like, I'm mad because you did this to me.
Yeah.
Because if you tried to say that in your home growing up, what would have happened? What if you would have said that?
You would have got beat.
Hit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you learn not to do that.
Right.
So if you're in the habit of not being able to speak, when you go to school, when you go to college, when you get a job, that same behavior happens. And so you get frustrated and the only thing you know is to punch.
Yeah.
Or swear or yell at somebody. And as a people, we're better than that.
We are.
We really are.
Yes.
And so one of the benefits or side benefits of having support group was to allow people to learn how to
manage that,
to articulate, to learn how to be able to say something like, I don't agree with you. Because that happens right there in group. Is that I don't believe that. Or, you know.
I feel like for me in my journey I've come such a long way, but I do deal with that quite a bit at work. Where they look at me and they think, oh, you're aggressive, you're this, and it's like, and it's groups like this where maybe you go so that you can learn how to articulate, because I'm not being aggressive. I'm trying to explain to you that, I don't agree. Maybe it should be done a different way or whatnot, but it's looked at as, and is it because it's seeping through my pores of how I was raised and, I get angry or...
I think our culture, if you
I don't know
look
what that
at our
is.
culture, Pacific Island culture, it's extreme. Everything, we love hard.
Yes.
We're angry hard. Everything we do is to the 10th power.
Yeah.
And so when they diagnosed me as being bipolar, I said to them, if you go into my community, I'm normal. So that white book that you're taking this DSM out of was based on white people.
Wow.
And I'm not going to take that designation that you say I'm bipolar, Because your book that you're judging me by was all based on white people study. So when I'm in my community, if you think I'm bipolar, hello, I said, you should be my mom. Right? So then I just started saying, I don't have to believe that. Maybe in your context over here, you're going to call me bipolar, right? But over here, in this community, I'm not so bipolar. I'm normal.
So these kind of groups that you hold are sort of kind of some of those things they touch on, right? Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So like this went like this I facilitated this week, and the topic was getting out of your own way. And because I think that in our community,
I like that.
So I let the women decide what are the, and then we charted out for the year. So it happened to be was get out of your own way, and we had a woman from not a Polynesian. She's a white woman that started out with us here, and she moved to South Carolina. She came on Zoom, and so we have lots of women because we always say it's for Pacific Island women and your friends.
Oh, good.
Right?
Oh, good. And that was my next question. Is it just open for everyone? Yep. But specifically for our community because of the issues that we've all experienced together, sort of.
And part of this is because I have white family, is how many men or women are married to non-Polynesians. Them going to a white group would not be so well for them, right? And we have had instances where we have had white women that are married to Polynesian men that have just come to group and said, I know this is for Polynesian women only, but can I be here because I'm about to commit suicide today?
They're trying to learn,
right?
Understand.
And I always say to the women, is it okay if she stay? Yes, of course. We have a woman here that's crying.
And why not have like a group of Polynesian women that can help this individual understand
the cultural, because there is some differences.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't have been in 4 marriages because my lifestyle and my understanding of marriage was very different.
Same.
Right? It didn't, I can tell you in one marriage I had, I just shared this, I don't know if it's appropriate for me to share.
Hey, it's a podcast.
Like his mom and sister were always calling and telling him to tell me, give a $5,000 here, and these were my comments. When you're sleeping with them, you can tell them. But you're sleeping with me, so you don't get to tell me that, right? And when I tell that, they were like, we're surprised you have front teeth left. I didn't recognize that was so sacred for me to say. Yeah. And I look back and I could have handled that better. Yeah. I didn't know the culture.
Do you think that's important though now for those in our community, the younger generation, to learn how important that is, that respect? And
it's about how we code switch. Our success in this world.
Code switch?
Code switch.
What is that?
So I was very comfortable in navigating the white world. How to be respectful. I didn't do so well in the Tongan culture. But what I recognized was if I needed my message to be heard, I also needed to be respectful and understand. I didn't have to agree with it. Yeah. But I never want to be hurtful to people. Yeah. Just me as my own being. So I had to learn, what is disrespect in this culture? How do I navigate this and always be respectful to others? You have to learn the culture. Yes. And I think that as we become in a more multicultural world, those that can be code switch are going to be the most successful.
I like that.
Right?
Yes.
Who can move back and forth? Because if you notice, there are a lot of us that can't.
I know.
They can't move out of our own Pacific Island, and they really stifle their own growth.
Why do you think it's important that we open up and get out into?
There's so many more opportunities and perspectives that we can learn. And there's so many great people out there. There's good and bad in every culture, in every race. And I feel like we were put on this earth to be one. Yeah. To learn from each other, be respectful. But I think those that are going to be successful in this world, our young ones coming up, are those that can code switch. And we did this experiment at our violence prevention conference. Siopa Kinikini, who is a therapist, spoke, and he called Jake Fitzumanu up on the stage. Okay. And remember, we have a very multicultural group. Yeah. And Siopa said, okay, Jake. And Jake was like, what am I doing up here? He said, I'm going to give you a scenario, and I want you to say how you would react if you were in a white event.
Ooh.
And then I want you to then tell us how you would react if you were in a Polynesian event.
Yeah.
So the first one he picked was, you see somebody hitting their child excessively. And Jake said, I would probably go over to the parent and say, is there something I can help you with? The white parent, right? Siopi said, okay, let's jump to a Samoan event at church or something.
Yeah.
And Jake said, nothing. Keep eating. Right?
Yeah.
So then he gave these scenarios so that people could see what is code switching. He would
Okay.
do. So the next one was, we all know Jake's got diabetes, and that he does really good. And he said, okay, you go out with your friends to lunch, and what would you eat? Right? He said,
you'll have a salad.
yeah, he said, I would have a
Water.
salad, I would have water, and they said, okay, so on your way home, you stop at your auntie's house, and you have to drop something off, and
She has manioke.
she has,
Oh, see.
yeah, she has some roasted pig. She says, okay, come and eat. What you gonna do? She said, Jake said, I'm gonna sit down and eat.
Yeah, for sure.
So do you see how we code switch?
Yeah.
How this is our behavior. We do change.
Yeah, we do.
But we don't recognize. So it was, Chopin brought up this.
I have to do a lot of code switching at work.
Correct. We do. We have to do.
I put my AT&T voice on at work, and then
Right.
and then when I'm talking like this, what's
Yeah. And some people can code switch and some people can't. But those that are going to be the most successful in this world, I believe, are going to be able to code switch.
And these are some of the things that you obviously bring up in your groups and talk about.
What we talk about.
Hey, you guys, we just had the second part of our program, I think. Before we're going to go to another break. This is a lot. We can talk forever.
Yes,
but
we can.
I don't think we're boring anybody out. Anyways, we're going to go on another break. The song that we just listened to was from Luteo. That was Lau Bele, one of my favorite songs. An amazing song. Thank you so much. We're going to go into another break, you guys. Just kind of take another break. And then we'll come back, talk more about Susi and PacifikaChptr. And then I want to kind of get into this DEI too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so remember, you guys, this next break is sponsored by Mortgage Landing LLC with Lisa Piella and her crew. Thank you so much. Again, please click like and share, and we will be right back.
Yeah, the code switching.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's great.
I do believe
I like to hear that. Yeah. And I think it's super fun.
We're at 11:12.
Gets me every time inside. My heart is smiling and I can't fight it. I'm weak in the knees. Just let me try to explain how I feel. How sweet it is that you're here. The way you love me is sincere. Purest, honest gift you've given me. It's only you that I see. Tell me is this true? What I feel inside. Tell me that you love me enough to make this love last. Baby, can we try? Can we try, baby?
And then I would open the door like,
And the door. Oh, my dad is saying,
There's so much more that I can do when you're right here by my side. Please let me reassure. It's only you that you go. I want peace, I want touch forever.
It's only you that I see. Tell me is this true? What I feel inside. Tell me that you love me enough to make this love last. Baby, can we try?
Can we try, baby? How sweet it is.
How sweet
The way you love.
the way you love.
It's the purest, the truest.
think there's a point in your good dead. He's like, he's just so cheap. Even that goes to
Fun.
He loves
All right, guys. All right. We are back. I think we are back. Everyday People, the Utah Pacifica chapter with your girl, Cindy Sattini, and our special guest, Susi Feltch-Malohifo'ou. Susi.
Yes.
Sorry. Susi Feltch-Malohifo'ou with PacifikaChptr, Pacific Island Knowledge to Action Resources. Gosh, we covered quite a bit, I think.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
really excited about these groups. I gotta go and attend one.
Yeah, it's
For
fun.
sure.
We do actually the next Wednesday. We are doing facials. We're doing facials and skincare.
Speaking of facials, let's just quickly announce one more time that the Women's Executive
Yes.
Alliance, the Look Good, Feel Good event that they're going to have on Saturday, February 3rd. That's coming up next Saturday. From 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., they're going to have so many different things happening there. They're going to have experts holding workshops, I think. Beauty and hair, fashion, mental health from Celia Millenni.
Yes.
I'm excited to see her. I'm going to attend, I think. Other than that, did we talk about any other events? I think we had the Creative Pacific Foundation and the fashion show that's coming out. I think the tickets are out right now. If you guys want any more information on that, just go on to Facebook and Instagram and locate Creative Pacific Foundation and how you can get your ticket for that event. That's going to be big, I think. We'll see.
Oh yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
think it'll be awesome.
For sure. Okay, you guys, that was Deki and Fatai with Only You. And if you guys have any art, or if you're an artist, a local artist, and you want us to play your music, hit us up. Hit up Leroy Big Buddha Teo, and he'll get your song on the playlist. Again, we have Susi Feltch-Malohifo'ou here from Pacific Island Knowledge to Action Resources. She's talked about groups that they're having at their office. I know you were just up at the Capitol earlier this week. What were you doing up there?
Oh my gosh, we're in mourning up there. I mean, legislation ran DEI, a bill which is diversity, equity, and inclusion, taking it out of our secondary higher education and in government. And, we did go make a public comment against it, and it's going to pass. The only chance we have is that the governor vetoes it. However, this is coming from the governor himself. So, unfortunately, it was very interesting, though, because I don't know what the deal is, but really nothing is going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Very little, I think, is going to change. I hope they're still going to keep all of the cultural clubs going at the colleges.
Okay.
So it started to make me think, so then why? And it's because people didn't like DEI. And this is just my own thought is, as our vulnerable communities organize and we start thriving, I think we threaten the majority. I think we threaten them, and so they
And
come up
real
with
quick,
this.
just for our viewers, just kind of break down what DEI is, the number of the bill, and what it means to us as a community. I know that I brought Verona on last week, and it was sort of new to me, so I was still kind of all over the place. But I was more worried about how it was going to affect me and my job. But we're actually just talking about school.
Yeah.
And is it government agencies or government? I guess
Government.
we are
So
talking about
for you. It does, yes. 'Cause you
Damn
work
it.
for a government agency.
Yeah.
And
And how does that affect even, parents are watching right now and they have students in school. How does that affect them with their race and their origin, and even if they have some sort of health, was it? Disabled.
Yeah.
Um,
So it's HB 261
okay.
is the actual bill number. And because of the way it's written in the verbiage, it is broad. They can do basically whatever they want because it's been left so broad. And I know that senators were saying, let's table this, go to interim the rest of the year, give us some time. There were educational organizations that came and gave public comment that said nobody had come and talked to them about. So how can you talk about education when you've never talked to many educational associations? They said, we've never even heard from anybody. Nobody asked us. And so I feel like it was just really quick. It was a quick thing.
Is this like a lost cause for us?
It is at this point. I mean, the only thing it can be done right now is the governor to veto it. And I'm just going to say that it's coming from the governor. The only reason I say this is I sit on the state Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Committee. And about 4 months ago, I didn't know that our minutes and agenda go to the governor's office. So we get a notification saying that we can't do our land acknowledgement. I thought that was weird. Why? We're not saying that white people killed Indians. We're saying we are giving thanks to the natives whose land we use and sit on. So what we got was, you need to use an all-purpose people statement, not a that. And we were like, oh, why does the governor have anything to say with this? So and one of the chairs is Yolanda Nez, who is Dene. She's Native. And so she's one of the chairs of that committee. And so we were like, oh, okay, Yolanda, we're going to go to the big, because we're a subcommittee of service providers. Why does he have to say that? It should be the committee themselves, the larger committee, that tells us what we can and cannot do. But so I should have known. 4 months out is when we got this notification that we couldn't do a land acknowledgement in a state committee, and that we were told to do an all-purpose. We were all reading like, what's an all-people purpose statement? What does that mean?
Yeah.
So then we were like, okay, so this sounds like, because, can I just say this? Like, I feel like the majority feels like they're left out. And that it was like, hello, that's been how we've been all our lives. We've been left out. And so now, this was my public comment, is that we came to this earth, nobody knew what gender they were, what country they were going to be born in, the economic status of it. So what's the equalizer? If we already started out that way, the equalizer, yes, education can be. DEI is an equalizer, right? And so if we go from that premise that none of us were born equally, right? We don't know, we didn't choose that.
No.
What country we're going to be born if you knew how to speak English, what the economic status was. We started out that way.
Yeah.
What are the equalizers then for us?
Yeah.
And so that was what my public comment was. DEI is one of those equalizers. Like education can be one of those equalizers.
Yeah.
And there's lots of things in our lives that can be equal. But a lot of people that were for the bill were saying, and a lot of people of color.
Wow.
I struggled and I did this and I pulled myself up, but the bootstraps, and I kept saying is, that's great for you. But not everybody has a different breaking point.
Yeah.
And that
like
DEI
that.
offices were put in place for all people. I don't know where they got the idea that DEI offices were only for people of color.
So now, let's say they take DEI out of one of the colleges here in Utah. What does that look like for a minority student? Like an example, solid example for our viewers that go, okay, how's DEI going to affect me as a student up here at the U?
So they say that it's not supposed to, like, you still have your Polynesian clubs and your ethnic clubs, but my question is, does it stop you now scholarships that are ethnic scholarships? Does it stop you? And they keep saying, like, there were a lot of people that for it, there were people of color said, I don't need that handout.
Oh.
Right? I keep saying is, if you're talking about yourself, we need to really start looking about as a community as a whole. And that we come from a vulnerable community. That doesn't mean that everybody in our community is vulnerable.
Yeah.
But overall, we're a very poor community.
Yeah.
And so what are those equalizers in DEI offices and DEI services? Otherwise, we go back to everybody. That means that the majority gets served first. We go right back. We've like taken 50 years back into when it used to be that way. That means the majority are going to get served first before we do. Unfortunately. I mean, I think the other bill is the trans bill. there was some language change there so that going to the bathroom for those who are transgender.
Yeah.
They did change the language, so now in public bathrooms they don't need to, but in school bathrooms. If you were born a boy, you have to go to a boy bathroom. If you were born a girl, you have to go to a girl bathroom. Yeah, that passed. But it was better than when it was written and when it started. Before it was all public bathrooms. And I could only see what was happening. You're going to have Karen standing in the bathroom asking you for an ID, saying, are you a boy or a girl? Pull your pants down, let me see, are you a boy or a girl?
They're already doing that out in the public streets, so.
Right. So, it's really important that we know what's happening in the laws that affect our homes and making public comment and having
How can they do that? How can they be informed?
So you can go to the legislation and legislate, and you can just put keywords in, and it'll pull up every bill that has to do with it. So right now, so the rape centers, which is all of the shelters, we're helping advocate for that. There's $2 million. $1 million is going to go to the shelters. The other $1 million is supposed to go to grassroots groups like PacifikaChptr that are first responders. Because our people, like a lot of ethnic, they're not calling the police when there's a domestic violence or sexual assault. Usually when it's a domestic violence in our community, it's because the neighbor has called the police. It wasn't us that called on us.
Yeah.
It's the neighbor that heard a fight, somebody that saw a fight, and so then the police show up, and then they don't want to work with the advocates. They don't want to do all of that. I would say that I've only had a handful of cases that we've actually taken to court. Most of the people that we work with get services, but don't take it to court yet.
Like what?
So, we have a domestic violence woman that calls, or sexual assault, and they want services, but they don't want to go put their husband in jail or a perpetrator. They don't want to take that next step.
And that's probably the only way for you to get the help.
Right. We can still give them the help with that. There's still the Victims Fund. Is available for anyone that's a victim of a crime. If you've ever been to jail or you've been fined, they always say your fines are X amount. A portion of that money goes to the Victims Fund of every state. And there is a fund for everybody that's been a victim in this state to go and get funding. And so if you've been a victim of domestic violence, even if somebody broke into your car, right, scratched your car, there is a fund for that.
And PacifikaChptr, that's where PacifikaChptr sort of steps in, right?
Yeah, we can help you. We'll tell you where to go get it and help you fill out the forms to get that. But I think that's a service that was our very first grant that we got at PacifikaChptr. They had served, guess how many people that fund had served in our community? 12.
That doesn't sound too much.
Yeah. So they were asking us to please apply because the state had only helped 12 Pacific Islanders with that fund. So I talked to the team and said, here's an opportunity, should we take it? They said, yes, let's try. So I wrote the grant and said, we will increase Pacific Island engagement by 100%. 24 people.
Oh, hey.
Right?
In there.
We're not giving it away for free.
Right.
So I said 100% increase. I knew we were going to definitely work with more than 24 people.
Right.
But I think they gave us $90,000 the first year.
Okay.
Right? For our 24 people that I said we were going to do. But, we serviced a lot more than that. But I'd rather us do better than what we said than to fall short.
Yeah.
And we're not working for free. Right? We increased your numbers by 100%.
Right.
That's better than what you had before. So you're going to give us more money. So the next time we apply, we'll increase another 100. That's 40 people that we will work with. I mean, it's a give and take.
There you go.
We don't. I value our community. I value our experts.
I see the work.
And we're not giving this away for free.
Yeah.
We are the experts here. You can't get in our community, so you're going to pay. Right?
Tell me real quick with PacifikaChptr. Can anybody in the community, if they're interested, join?
Yes,
the
please.
organization?
We
Are
always
you looking
need volunteers.
Okay,
Always
volunteers.
looking for volunteers, and it's a good place to get started. Volunteer. Find out what area it is you like.
And my favorite is breaking bread. Can you kind of touch on that just real quick? Because I have to. Yeah, I've gone and served a couple of times.
So it started when I sat on the board of the National Tongan American Society. I was in charge of their Friendly Island Festival. I moved it from where at Jordan Park to the park, Fairmont Park in Sugar House.
Oh, yeah.
My idea was, let's stop getting money from our own community. We don't have the money. Go use other people's money. Sugar House was a great place. They like arts. They're really artsy people.
Yeah.
And so we picked this park. We went there. I didn't know it was the largest homeless park for kids. But while we were setting up and we got the homeless people would come and help. And so Simi with the Kava Talks, they were selling fish and chips. And the homeless guys came and Simi gave them a volunteer shirt. Yes, you can help us and we'll feed you, you know. There was a man that kept coming back and getting, I said, dude, I know you cannot be that hungry. So he came, he said, can I have another plate? I said, of course you can. If you tell me where you're doing with all this food, because you cannot be that hungry.
Because he has all the youth hanging out on
And he said, we take care of the youth.
Aww.
So we've been giving the food. So Simi says, oh, shut us down in the front. Tell everybody come eat in the back. And his sister's Ivani, and they're like, what is he doing? I said, he don't want to make any money. He just wants to feed the homeless here. Because he said there's a bunch of kids and people here. And Ivani was like, is my brother stupid? He could make money. I said, the man have decided they'd rather just serve.
Yeah.
And so they're gonna so it became we shut in the front and they were serving food out the back and giving it to all the kids.
How long have they been doing Breaking Bread?
8 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So Fairmont Park at that time had the most kids that were homeless. And I got stuck there one night, and I met a young lady, 8 months pregnant, and it had been raining, and I was under the pavilion. She changed her clothes into pajamas, and I was like, oh, she lives here. So then we started talking, and we became friends. I came back, I would come and check on her, and I came back, and her friend said she'd had the baby, and they hadn't seen her.
Wow.
Right? And so that's how it started, is that Simi saw the amount, and the men were so like, can you take our shirt and wash it for us, and then you tell us where to come and volunteer and bring the shirt with us. And they were saying things like, thank you for making us feel normal.
Well, you know, I went the first time I went, and I don't know, I was just led to just come and help serve that one, was it Wednesdays? Saturdays.
Yeah.
And I came, and my nephew showed up, and my nephew's homeless, and I was able to break bread with him that day, and it had to have happen that way. What a great program. How often do you guys do Breaking Bread?
We do that on the third Saturday of every month. And I think the difference between, instead of us being transactional, was just give a plate of food out.
Yeah.
We wanted it to be something.
Remember when I came and I had my my apron on, and I was like, where's my gloves? I'm ready to serve. And they're like, people were coming up and they were like picking whatever they wanted and stuff. It was awesome. It was pretty good.
We wanted it to be like a family barbecue.
Yeah.
To bring back some normalcy to people's lives. So that you can have just regular conversations. And that's how we built trust with people there, and then they started saying, hey, we need help here. Do you have a tent? My husband is hurt. Can you help us get medical care? And we were able to do the free phones and and really it was about meeting people where they were in a trusting environment and making people feel normal.
Yeah. And you guys did. When I was there, like I said, it was different because I was ready to stand in line and start serving, but it really did have that family feel. And then I could tell, obviously you guys have been doing it for quite some time because they were coming up to the table and just talking and grabbing food and eating. So it was a really, really nice way that you guys that you guys run that particular program. If you guys are interested in join us on their next one. Is it the third
Saturday of every month?
And we're going to go.
Yes.
Next month, for
it's
sure.
It's always fun. And, I didn't know that there are some people that are very uncomfortable with homeless people.
Huh.
I didn't know that.
I understand that.
I do now, but I came from, in San Francisco, I worked with homeless people.
Yeah.
I knew every homeless person in my area in East Palo Alto. I would go with the women and they loved it when I would come and visit under their trees where they lived and they could make me coffee.
Yeah.
Right? That service back to other people when you've been served so long,
it's the best feeling.
It empowers you.
Yeah.
It inspires you to say, I can give back to somebody else. So I would go and have coffee. Sometimes I would sleep with them, Actually, I just go because I like the fruits. Just kidding.
We'll for sure be there next month on the third Saturday. PacifikaChptr has Breaking Bread, and they serve the homeless youth over at Fremont Park, right?
Yep. But this last Saturday, we ended up doing a little bit different. We went to someplace around our office, and Susi said the food went very quickly. And so maybe that's what we're going to do, is that we made up plates, and then we had a picnic area.
Wow.
And then just invited people to come and sit down, and we gave away coats last week as well. That we got donated to us.
Oh, good.
So we gave out coats and socks. And
is there something that the community can do for Breaking Bread right now? Do you guys need some donations?
Yeah,
or
we
how does
always
that work?
ask people to bring like potluck it. You know?
Oh yeah.
Like I remember when a guy that we was there said he loved lasagna. And one of our volunteers said,
I missed that day.
And she said, I'll make some lasagna. So the next month came, she came with her big thing, and he got there late. And so half of it was gone.
No.
And she said, hey, I made lasagna. Do you know how much that made him feel?
I'm sure.
He said, you remembered. She said, I told you last month I would make lasagna. I make good lasagna. But look, you're late, but I saved you some.
Who made the lasagna?
Punani.
Punani. Can you make some next month, please? I'll be there for sure. Look, we're gonna, I think we've talked a lot. I know that maybe people thought we were gonna just sit here and talk about PacifikaChptr all morning long. You guys can actually go onto Facebook. They're all on all social platforms, social media platforms. PacifikaChptr, Pacific Island Knowledge to Action Resources. We have their link on our page. Tell me, what does PacifikaChptr look like here in the next 5 years?
So I am going to, as soon as we get everything settled here, first thing is we're going to be opening a clinic here. We're going to be opening
Let's give that one a clap, a clinic.
We're going to open Mountain Pacifica, a mental health clinic, culturally relevant. We're going to provide a space for our own healers to come out of their homes, because I believe there's value there.
Oh, yeah.
And so many of our people are getting those services and not telling their doctor, and they're not getting the medicine, but the doctor thinks that what he's giving is right, and the doctor don't even know, or vice versa, right? And then my goal is I am going to turn my focus globally. These services that we're giving right here, we're going to do in Tonga and Samoa. Is that I feel like in Tonga and Samoa, we are going to combust from the inside out. If we don't do something about it, and I feel like so many of these services that we provide here, we can provide there. The other thing that we would like to, once we get settled, is to do an immersion program. So in the summer, kids can come and go to Tonga, go to Samoa, and spend maybe 3 weeks there.
I want to be part of that program.
Job for them. They can learn how to navigate by the stars. They can learn their language, their dance. We want to root people in the positive things. And so we'll have like an immersion, come to the islands, spend a month during your summer, but they'll also be helping PacifikaChptr with their programs.
Yeah.
There is the idea, but that will be, myself will be turning, I think Oretta Tupolo will carry here in the United States. And we've had so many requests for our services to be in the island.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
There is so much going on with PacifikaChptr. Do you want to maybe give a shout out to your staff? Maybe just give them, name them on our program, and then, let's just end the show with just some final words. We talked about so many good things for our community. I think communication stands out for me, and that's something that PacifikaChptr provides as far as groups, on how to communicate with one another, and it helps you communicate in your own family, in your home, right?
And in your own job, right?
In your own job.
Right?
I think I need that one, maybe. I don't know.
All of this work at PacifikaChptr would not be, could not happen if we didn't have such wonderful staff. We have 22 people on staff.
I didn't realize 22?
Yeah.
Jeez.
My payroll is like $50,000 a month.
Wow.
Is how much. And I'm proud to say that.
Do you need like a janitor or something?
And, like the name of your podcast, it's everyday people.
Yes.
We probably don't have a lot of degree people. I dropped out of college. We do have some degree people, but really, it's the people that count. And we could not do this work without them. I really am not, people always, I think in the idea of a Polynesian organization, that I'm the one that makes on the job. That's not my job. My job is to support those that are leading. And whatever they want to do, the answer is always yes, let's figure this out, right? And so, we have 3 programs, Empowered Living Services, that are run by Lulu Wolfgram and her team, Jehi Siolo, Nisi La'a, and all the community health workers there. And then we have Baal, Pacific Enriching Arts of Utah, which is Kalani Tonga, along with Lauren Ulugia and Charlie Prescott that do our film. And then we have Pacific Island Chamber of Commerce that's run by Sincera Te'o, and Sharon Molifoa does our micro-lending, and with volunteers as well. We just, we were growing and growing. I am trying to keep up with it myself on how to do it.
I know!
We're not perfect by any means. We're trying the best, and I think we give each other grace, and I think in our community we should give each other grace.
Yes.
Is that none of us are perfect at this. The whole point is that if we're trying to do good, we should always support each other. In supporting each other and doing good work amongst us. And I think just for PacifikaChptr, the name of your podcast kind of, the synergy around that is everybody's a hero.
Yes.
Everybody is empowered and has strengths that they can give to the next person. And you don't have to have a degree. It's great if you have one. I have learned that often college didn't teach people how to apply what they learned.
Yeah.
But at PacifikaChptr, it is applying things that you've learned and sharing from your heart and genuinely. So there are lots of places for people to come and help. We want everyone to come and help. You don't have to be perfect, because I always say we are imperfect, perfect people.
Yes.
Right?
Amen.
Yeah.
You know what, Susie? Good stuff. I can't wait to go back and just kind of listen to everything that... PacifikaChptr has so many outreach programs out there for our community that will really, sounds like, changes people's lives for the better. If you were, you had somebody that just showed up out of the blue because he wanted to attend your Kava Talk session, and he was just having issues.
We had a woman last week. She'd been coming by at 10 o'clock at night. Somebody went there to drop some stuff off, and there was a Polynesian woman, older woman, and she was like, "Hey, is this your office? I need help. The courts referred me to you. But I've been coming by here," but she was coming by at 10 o'clock at night, right? Yeah. And so, we would do better. We put a sign up, making sure that there's a number there when people went after hours. But I love the fact, and I'm grateful for people that trust us. Because in our community, it's tough to be trusted. Everything we do is confidential.
And I was going to ask you about the confidentiality.
It's confidential. We signed a confidentiality agreement with every person that we work with. We let people tell their own stories, and then we ask, can we use your story? You can tell a story without saying somebody's name.
Yes.
Right? The message can be heard. Yeah. Right? Without giving any confidentiality out on anyone. And those are the stories that inspire. Because if you can't see it, you can't be it.
Love it.
Right?
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Let's give that one a clap, guys. Wow. And one more thing, I know that you were up at... the Capitol, and you were trying to maybe get some funding for was it a festival or something coming up?
Yeah, so Utah Pacific Island Heritage Month, 12 years ago, I asked Governor Herbert to declare August as Pacific Island Heritage Month. So every year the governor declares August as Pacific Island Heritage Month. The National Tongan American Society event, which is probably the longest running, has always been the second week of August. So it just made sense that they were there. And then Moana down that does Polynesian Days. She's always done Labor Day. So basically we start usually the first week of August and go run to Labor Day. That's Pacific Island Heritage Month. Okay. So appropriations funding gives out to festivals. So for 4 years straight, I've been up there. I've never gotten $1. But I feel very comfortable that this year, because one of the legislators actually said, "Oh, I've been going." Really? And I love it. I take my kids, and she said, they deserve it. So I'm hoping that we come out ranked high, and then we go to the executive appropriations, and then... Do you need the community out there, holding picket signs and all that, or what? We will post. What we need right now is for people to email and call the committee members to say, to please support this. And I think that we're going to start seeing it online of how to do that. And then we'll do the same thing when it goes to the executive appropriations. But one thing I want to say is we must be civically engaged. This money
Yes.
is for us too, but we have to learn how to go through the process.
And can you help them and guide them
Yes.
through that process?
And we have the Utah Pacific Island Civic Engagement
Okay.
organization. They also work in that space. I'm happy to help as well, but I feel like if I can get this appropriations, I've been told we're the only Pacific Island group that's ever even tried to do this. And so I'm going to keep doing it. I'm bipolar, so I'm going to keep it.
But you said that the community can email, they
Yes.
can call.
Yes.
And who are they emailing and calling?
To the committee members, the legislators that sit on the committee. And you can even come with us to meet with them. More than happy to have you to come and learn.
Will you post like a link or where
Yeah.
they can go to sign up for that?
Yeah, for
And
sure.
Put their name on that ballot or whatever it is. that
And
they
this
need
is
to do.
all, we have to remember that the funding that is tabled for Pacific Islanders becomes from us filling out the census.
That is so
Those
important.
are the two things that are linked.
Yes.
Right?
How often does the census happen?
It's like every 4 years, I
Okay.
believe it is.
Okay.
And so when the census, and when they say there's only 20,000 Polynesians, the reason why is because we don't open our doors and fill out the census.
Go ahead now.
Yeah, close enough. We don't know that. But that number that we come, then the federal government allots a dollar amount. And then
Yeah.
that's the dollar amount that then goes to Pacific Islanders in this state,
Alright.
in this county.
Alright.
So that is the link between, if we don't fill out the census, then our dollar number is less than when we go to do legislative work.
Okay, real quick, now that we're talking about the census, real quick, sorry. If somebody comes to your door, what is the approach so that they can watch out for that and go, oh, that's the census people?
Well, so that's, I worked in this in California.
Okay.
In East Palo Alto, you think we were opening the doors and people of
No.
color? Yeah, they couldn't even get the door open. So I said to the census, how about you hire people that look like us, that speak our languages? Probably should start
There you
there,
go.
right? You could even put, like, give them something so that there's an acknowledgement of who they are.
Is PacifikaChptr going to do something like that?
I don't know, like,
You should.
we've never jumped in there. I know that there are other Pacific Island organizations that do that.
Yeah.
But we need to work closer with the census because.
Well, that's the thing. That's a discussion that we could probably have when it comes up again, and then we can maybe do that. But yeah, well, Susie, good stuff. This isn't going to be
thank
the
you for
end.
having
I'm
me.
sure you're going to come back on here some more with, because I know PacifikaChptr has tons of events throughout the year.
we do.
And you know, you're just you're a big deal in our community, Susie. Yeah, you are. I went up to the Capitol. Was it Martin Luther King? I swear, everywhere I turn, you know, and they're like, oh, do you know Susie? Do you know? So I know that you're doing a ton of work out there. I think you're brilliant. I think your staff is just brilliant. The outreach work that you guys are doing for our community is really amazing, you guys. We all have some sort of issues out there, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. If you do, and if you don't, then just pray for the rest of us
Yes.
to have
please.
issues. But listen, PacifikaChptr, Pacific Island Knowledge to Action Resources, is an amazing organization that's been operating for almost a decade now.
I know, I can't believe it's 10
I know, and that's gotta say something, that you've been running this long. You now have 30-something people on your staff. 22, sorry. We're going to get 30 because I'm going to join pretty soon too. You need a janitor, something, right? Anyways, I think that's just it. You know, somebody who's watching right now, and maybe even a single mother, a woman
Yeah.
that just is really stuck right now. You know, just some final words for our viewers and maybe for somebody that may need to hear something.
I guess what I want to say is that you're enough. No matter where you are, you're enough. And that you're strong is probably going to bring tears to me.
And I forgot my Kleenex.
That you are strong, that you are loved, and you are not alone. PacifikaChptr is here. That no matter where you are in your life, that was the one thing for me, is walking through life by myself was really lonely. But the one thing we can do at PacifikaChptr is walk with you, right? We may not know the answer, but we will find the answer. We will help you, but I don't ever want anybody to feel like they're alone. And that's the one thing that I can say. Please reach out to us. If there's anything that you need or resource, it's confidential. We care deeply about our community members. We want us all to thrive. We all want to be able to be whatever it is you want to be in this world. We will help you get there. You have to do the work. We're not going to do it for you, but we will walk with you. And so I guess that's my final words would be like, you're enough, just the way you are.
I love that, you guys. Susie, so glad that you came. I mean, I'm sure if you've reached at least one person, I can feel it. Amazing work that you guys are doing. Great information that you've left here on our show this morning. With that said, you guys, listen, if you guys were paying attention to our podcast, if you guys listened in, I did mention who was going to be the expert in the Look Good, Feel Good event happening next week with the Women's Executive Alliance. And I did mention earlier who the expert was that was going to lead the mental health portion of it. And if you can answer that, the first one that answers that is going to get the 2 free tickets to this event next week, Saturday. Other than that, we're just going to end our program. Again, thank you so much, Susie. And the message is always the same here at Everyday People. And that's just for everyone just to be kind to one another. I think that's it. We're done.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
I'm popping out with the best. You did? Dose. I'm popping out with the best. I let it fall into place. Splitting the cake and prorating the shake. And now I'm pushing the line, laying brick at a time. I'm putting them on, still getting mine. Making the calls, creating the songs. Tracking every number, taking the lows. I know my money, I don't owe nobody. Homie used to tell us go be somebody. I'm here to serve. Yeah, my brothers the word. We ain't playing with you clowns. We ain't playing with you nerds. We here to provide on some real shit. Working hard over here trying to build shit. Yeah, you see what I'm with. You know the fam, the truth. Ain't nothing wrong with us, there's something wrong with you. Figure that out before you make some noise. Say it with your chest and keep your mouth shut, boy.
Gotta keep my mood steady and focused. Ooh, never holding back on with emotions. Ooh, chasing money is the motive. Yeah, put in the time, they gonna notice. Yeah, just keep all of your family, friends, people riding to the end real close, and watch it all unfold. Yeah.
Still in the building with my nose up. Still with it, still fitted from my toes up. Still in the picture, still grinning from my close up. Quick to flip a coin for the bitch who nearly chose up. It's AP, Mr. Put It in Motion. And Doug's right a shot, he causing all the commotion.